Hello and welcome back to Horse Tycoon, the game of spending far too much money on horses that you've forgotten about. So, last time I left you with the thrilling spectacle of me replacing far too many horses because they had allowed them to get old, and I did some more of that offline and unrecorded, and so now we have all of our horses are at least new enough that none of them are costing me a huge amount of money just to keep them going. So we can turn our thoughts again to our network. And one of the things that's actually come up, which I did mention briefly last episode, and then not sort of thought about doing something about, and then didn't, was this passenger line here has an awful lot of horses kind of waiting on each other for these passing places, and while it keeps them nicely spaced, it does also impact on the profits. So obviously things are taking longer, so it means that you make far less profit from moving them from place to place. So what I now want to do with this, and this, if we look here and where we have this the radial line, this, some of these do make good money. So a short neck giraffe is making quite good money, but down here, Red Ear Rachel is not. And this suggests two problems. So firstly, that this is a little bit marginal, that we should be able to make more money, but also that these aren't spacing out as well as we would like to, because it looks like one horse, so one train, short neck giraffe, is taking the vast majority of the passengers. And let's take a look. Let's see if that's actually, my conjecture is true. So short neck giraffe is not hugely full actually, but we look down here and we start seeing, yes, you see, yeah, some of these, they're not evenly loaded, they're not evenly distributed, so we probably do want to space them out and start timetabling them, and also get rid of some of this endless waiting. So let's start double tracking this line. So I'm going to just bring that across there, and this always brings a small problem when double tracking the line, which is that obviously you're changing something that's in use. So what that unfortunately means is that we'll have horses running about all over the place, running in completely the wrong direction, and you see this happening already here. And kind of the best we can hope for maybe is to sort of pop some signals down, which, oh dear, yes, there's a reserve of half, and then stuck to it, like a sort of, when you get a sort of a vehicle sat nav and it obsesses with the path that it was originally on. Well, this is now waiting for a free path here, so this is not good. This suggests that I'm sort of on the road to getting a collision. Let's create a sort of little bypass, and let's leave that there. But yes, sometimes these vehicles, when you're starting to mess with the paths that they've reserved, and they don't like it that much. And you get the problems which we're seeing here, which is vehicles kind of reserving strange paths, refusing to reserve. Now, usually, if I joggle it around, it would sort of pick up this path, but that's not happening. So I wonder how I can get this to reroute, and what this will be here is, yes, something else will have this path reserved. And because I've started messing around with this, it'll be a very, very long, huge path like this. And thankfully, this is at least going in the correct direction. And one of the reasons why I use these path signals, which the one-way path signals, is because this problem that I have here, which I'm having a minor way, and it's not crisis level, it's not a horrific problem. It's just a few horses kind of getting locked in lay-bys and causing a little traffic jam. And try not to think too much about jam in a horse context. That's not a hugely pleasant thing. So, but at least this is not too bad. If I was not using the one-way signals, if I were using the sort of the normal path signals, these have a weird behavior, which is they look like they are one-way, but actually they're not. They're not totally one-way signals. You say, what do you mean by that, Timberwolf? They're sort of one way or not? Well, Well, actually not in this case. So how does a one-way path signal work? And how a one-way path signal works is that a one-way signal completely blocks traffic going through the wrong side. So these horses have to go through a signal that is in the correct direction. They cannot route through this. A regular path signal. Now, there is a penalty for passing it from the backside. So this all of OpenTTD kind of operates on this principle of route finders, really. Oh, this is going to be a bit tricky. So this might have to be a passing place. I don't want to spend a lot of money on a bridge, but yes. So all these vehicles, when they're route finding, various things have penalties. Hills have a penalty, and slow bridges have a penalty, and red signals have a penalty. And ooh, don't you do that? That's not what I want you to be doing. So yes, this happens a lot. This is don't do what I'm doing, because it will cause an accident sooner or later. But anyway, yeah. So signals have a penalty, and there's a penalty for passing through the backside of one of these signals, but it's not a don't do it. If it's not a one-way. A one-way means don't do it, but just a regular path signal means try to avoid doing it. And that difference normally doesn't matter too much. In fact, sometimes, in some situations, it can be useful, because it means that the trains do resolve situations by themselves if they need to do something a bit out there, a bit non-standard, in order to resolve a situation they can. But one problem that brings up is when you're doing this kind of live network editing, which I keep telling you not to do and then just doing. So it's an assumption, fairly safe assumption, that everybody does this. Yes. Anyway, this sort of live network editing here it messes with the Pathfinder a lot. It creates sort of routes which would normally have extremely high costs suddenly become the only route. And what you will find is, in a large network, sometimes you will do a little bit of editing, you'll sort of move some track around, and not realise that in doing that, what you've done is briefly, while something was trying to find a route, you have briefly made the only route available one that involves going the wrong way through one signal. And okay, so not a big deal, surely. The problem is, when you're building double track routes like this, is you tend not to have many opportunities to get back on the correct track. So what then happens is your train, which was desperately trying to find its way back to where it wanted to go, has now ended up in a situation where that's going to be too tight a curve. Let's continue our story about signalling, because I do need to finish that. So your train is now reserved basically the entire length of the wrong way path, and now things are up at this end, say, are going, well, I need to get to where I'm going, but there's something coming up, let's say on this track, and it said, well, I can't reserve that, so I will go down the only route that is available to me, and see where this may be going. The only route that is available to me is the wrong way. So then you can have an entire network which is supposed to serve multiple trains, where it is completely blocked because, I say almost completely blocked. Well, it does end up completely blocked, because you end up with trains just sitting in terminus stations, unable to go anywhere. And if you eventually will fill those stations up, and then you have a big problem. Yes, it'll end up completely blocked with just one train going the wrong direction one way, and one train going the wrong direction the other way. So that's why I tend to use the one-way signals more than just the regular path signals, because I know myself. I know that I'm going to go and mess with my network. I know that I'm not going to be able to resist the temptation to fiddle with it and do silly things. So this is why I'm protecting me against myself by using these one-way signals, and it still ends up with the problem. As you can see, you still end up with being resoundingly punished for your messing around with your network live. It clearly is not the right thing to do, and the game shows you it's not the right thing to do. But at least not being punished, by having to wait for something to go the wrong way up the tracks all the way to the terminus station, and then potentially reroute the wrong way back again because all the routes are messed up. So there we go. So that's why I use one-way signals. And this I'm just going to do a little bit of perimeter optimization here, really, which is to avoid the sharp turn. Now, there are formulas which govern sort of what will make a train slow down on a corner, and it's to do with the length. It's to do with the fact that if you have something that one section is in a turn here and another section is in a turn here, then depending on sort of the length between those turns, there's a maximum speed which you can achieve, and if that maximum speed is above the speed of the maximum speed that it can achieve, that speed is below the speed that the train is capable of, it will slow down, and this becomes a bigger factor when you're using sort of faster high-speed trains, when you're getting up to sort of the 90 miles per hour or 100 miles per hour. At this point, it completely doesn't matter, and it's purely premature optimization. I'm just making the assumption that I'm not going to revisit that station before I need to worry about this. So here we go. So we now have a nice sort of unblocked layout. So I now want to start thinking about timetabling, and just look at that. That looks about reasonable. So when I'm timetabling this, now I don't know if you recall when I looked at this, and I sort of did what I guess you would call noping right out of it. Well, it was showing things like the trip from Radio to Chrome City was taking 130 days, and then the trip back was taking 70 days. And that was because these suggested times are taken just from one vehicle doing the trip. So what you will get is if the vehicle that it was sort of sampling for the trip took ages waiting for something to come the other way, then it will show up at sort of 150 days. Whereas if it got a nice clear run, it would maybe show up as 70 days. So now, what that means for timetabling is it gives you a kind of hint as to whether your timetabling is, your vehicles are being unstructured or not, because you should expect these in each direction to be roughly the same. In fact, this is 37 days. So let's just pop that, leave that at 40. This 73 days. Why is this happening? So car-based data gains rates, because you have the bridge, and you see we're still getting the problem of the bridge is taking us a very long time for vehicles to get over that. But let's put that, and what we will do is the terminal stations, so Carbis Bay and Radio, what we're going to do is I'm going to increase the time that things can stay here. So terminal stations are excellent places for things to make up time or spend time if they're early. So what I tend to do with timetables, I'm just going to set these and space these out, and hopefully these will start spacing themselves out given enough time. But the reason why do you want your vehicles to kind of get to a terminus station early and sort of sit there a long time and not do that on the middle of the route? Well, this is because here, let's take short-necked giraffe again. Short-necked giraffe is really, really tilting at fame in this episode. So short-necked giraffe was ridiculously early to this station, which it's not. I suspect. Oh yes, the giraffe thinks it's 1 day late. It's not too bad. But if it got early to the station and wanted to sit and wait, it would sit and wait in one of these bays, and then when something else comes along, it goes, well, that's fine. I'm going to just take that bay. And if the something else is late, it could quite happily actually wander off before short-necked giraffe actually leaves. This makes a terminus station a great place for you to kind of make up those sort of timed, make up the timetable to, well, as you know, to do the opposite of making up. So when things are running early, to wait. So it's fine to have quite a big margin on the travel time coming into a terminus station, and then also have quite a long dwell time, so things can sort of sit here. In the intermediate stations, that's not the case. So if you saw sort of expensive Eric coming out of here now, expensive Eric is well, the timetable's not started yet, so doesn't really know whether he's early or late. But if say Radio Rob was coming in here, Radio Rob was coming in, and Radio Rob was early, very very early, and then has sort of a long dwell time as well to allow for it. Radio Rob would then sit here in this station, waiting for it to be back on time again. Everything else will then build up behind Radio Rob, which is why you want to have your sort of the points at which you make up time to be in your terminus station, or quite simply the other option, which costs you a fair bit in infrastructure maintenance, so you can get expensive quickly, is to just have two tracks. So, and then you just, what all you're doing here is saying, well, I have another bay to do this. So signaling these, actually, this is a point probably worth showing, is in order for these to work, they have an implicit entry signal. So it's fine for things to enter, but they do need an exit signal. And the reason for that is some sort of path-based weirdness, which is that while there's an implicit signal on entry to these, as you exit, if there's not a signal dividing this up, what will happen is the horse will reserve this entire path all the way through. It will go through the implicit entry signal and reserve this entire path. And the horse coming through here will go, well, I can't reserve that path. I can't reserve the path up there because something is already going to cross it. So putting these exit signals just mean that something that's waiting in a bay is not reserving the path which goes all the way along through there. So this is how to signal stations with path-based signals efficiently. I mean, you could also just put signals in front of it, and that's a sort of a fail-safe option, but it's not strictly necessary. You can save on signals. You can save on some infrastructure maintenance costs by doing things this way. So this now should mostly play out and resolve itself. At least I hope it should clear up, and we should be able to come back to that and maybe see some greater profits, some happier times there. So let's go have a look. So let's just take a look and make sure we're not about to be, broadsided by horses again. Oh, cloned horse too. So the horse cloning vats are starting to get old. So what I can do with this is I am going to look at these and think, well, these are all one route. The cloning vats, they all go via New Rock. They are all building up the New Rock to the point where some resident is going to think, you know what I should make? I should commemorate New Rock's coal-fired history by building some boots with flames on them, and then people can go and wear them to heavy metal concerts. That will be an excellent idea. So we're only setting the frameworks for this. We're only building the coal industry, which will one day spark that seed of inspiration. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to send all of these cloned horses to the depot. And I know I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. And 7 of them does seem to be about the right number. So I'm going to send them all to the depot. But I'm also going to go 1, 2, 3, 5. So I'm going to set 5 of these going. So 22. And I believe sell off horse 28. So I know that I need 2 more. This is because these are just really impersonal. I do actually need to change the year on these so that these will show up neatly in the purchase menu. So I can't be quite as quick as I would like, or I could have been quick had I changed the name of one of these and then cloned it. But as you will know from watching this, is that I'm not that efficient or that smart with this. I would just happily make a mess and then try and deal with it slowly and manually later. So let me get. So I'm going to bring up 1828 cloned horse 10, and I think this one as well is also a 1828. Yes, there we go. So there we go. These, yeah, spelling bee Simon 2 and those are going. So now I've got my 1828, so I'm just going to pin that there because I know that I need 2 more. Ah, not enough money. Damn you. So let's try again. So this was Cloned Horse 13. Go. Here's Cloned Horse 7. This is one of the 1821s. So this sort of cloning thing is running a bit quicker. So hopefully it should now. Oh, and we have enough money to clone the very last of these. So that's useful. There we go. That's my brand new cloned horse. So now all I have to do is just quickly trigger the fast mode, and we should get all of these into the depot. So and then that should be. Oh, this is interesting. These are actually shorter, aren't they? So I might have a problem with this, but let's see how it goes. I might have a problem because I might now have more horses or more horses, but yeah, the horses don't matter. You don't load coal on the horses. There's not sort of a little pocket which they're having coal put on. No, but there are more coal carts in circulation now. So we might find that as this runs, that we're actually spending too much time waiting for things to load. In fact, I think we can see this happening. So I think we have one more. Cloned Horse 8 is the one with the unlucky number, is it? Oh no. Actually, this doesn't need to go to depot. I don't know why that was doing that. So now we should find that. Anyway, so we should find now that New Rock Coal has no aging horses on it. That's all in good all good. And Unexpected Alpacas is not yet getting too expensive. So there we go. I think that is a good place to leave it, as we have exercised the horse cloning vats once more. And I shall see you next time, in which hopefully we will get far enough through the game that we start to see some new vehicles. Something maybe that takes us beyond horses. So I'll leave you that tantalizing thought and stop things there.